Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome back to Total Football Talk, the channel that talks about Manchester United. We look at all the latest news and transfer news that is out surrounding our club. And there, as always, there is absolutely tons to get through. We will look at the latest information coming out on Rasmus Højlund to Napoli. There's talk about Senne Lammens and where we are with that particular deal. Some news on Antony and Real Betis, and some news on Casemiro, Bruno, and ultimately what Ruben Amorim would like to achieve in the next couple of seasons at Manchester United. So yes, plenty to get stuck into. And as always, we will jump in with the top story, and that is where Rasmus and Rasmus and Napoli are making a lot of headway. But before I delve just straight into that, thank you very much for joining me. I'm Keith, the host of this little channel, and if you're enjoying any of the content, if you could give me a thumbs up, that would be brilliant. If you could hit the old subscribe button, if you want to share any of the content, that would be great too. Feel free to. And yeah, get your thoughts in below on anything that I talk about. But okay, straight in. Here we go. United and Rasmus Højlund and Napoli. What is actually happening? So this is what's being said by Fabrizio Romano. We understand that Napoli are now in advanced talks to sign Rasmus Højlund. Positive talks today with Højlund and his camp about contract terms and project, for the long term. So we are, according to Fabrizio Romano, this is a deal that's potentially going to happen. We will get around a £5 million loan fee, and there will be an obligation to buy after the season runs out, or at the end of next season. So what we'll have to then look at is how much money are we going to get. According to the financial side of things, we will get enough to cover his cost and potentially make a little bit of money back on him. So from a PSR point of view, should everything go according to plan, we shall be okay. But we also know that, look at what happened with Jadon Sancho to Chelsea. We thought and we believed he was going to go there. Then he decided not to because there was a break in the clause and they were able to send him back to us. Obviously, we did get a little bit of money, about $5 million again for that one. But this can't be happening. This can't be any break in the clause. Unfortunately for Rasmus, it just hasn't worked out at United. Good kid who wanted to prove himself, United fan, desperate to play for the club. Had a first good season, second season, unfortunately, it just didn't quite work out for him. I hope he goes to Napoli. I'd like to see the kid do well. Scott McTominay's there, so he has a kind of a relationship ready, a foundation to build upon. Napoli maybe aren't the biggest name in Italian football, but at the minute they won the league, they're back in the Champions League, and they are going places. So I think all round it could be a very good deal for Rasmus to jump on at the minute and, forward his career. As I said, unfortunately, it's not going to be at United. Sesko will take his place, and he'll be left, just kind of sitting on the bench. It's a World Cup year. The kid's got to play. As I said, hope he goes there, hope he does well, and hope he gets the opportunity to score some goals and just kind of prove himself all over again. And who knows where his career might go after that. Maybe he'll have an unbelievable season and we'll want him back. But yeah, I can't see that happening. Not that he won't have an unbelievable season, but I just can't see us taking him back. And then obviously the other big bits of news that have been coming out is Senne Lammens is a goalkeeper that Manchester United have been monitoring, and now we're actually moving in to place. We've actually agreed personal terms with him, which is brilliant. And according to Sully here, Senne Lammens representatives have held face-to-face talks with the United delegation in recent days, with all parties waiting on a fast resolution. Internal feelings of confidence as the club enters advanced talks, United pushing amid the other competition that are looking at him. Now, we know he's kind of sought after. He's a very young goalkeeper. He's very much a prospect more than anything else at this particular stage. He doesn't have the experience of like a Donnarumma that we were also linked with, but he does have a lot of sort of traits that we are looking for in a goalkeeper. He knows how to command his box. He knows how to defend the 6-yard area when he's coming for aerial balls. He's very good. He's very good shot stopper, and he's good with both feet. So, he can play out from the back if needs be. But all that being said, he doesn't have the experience, as said, of a Donnarumma. He hasn't got tons and tons of, he's only played 52, 53 games for Royal Antwerp. So he's a lot to learn. He's still at the very early tender stages of his career. Kind of reminds me of a David De Gea style goalkeeper in terms of when we brought De Gea in, he was very young. And Sir Alex Ferguson gave him an opportunity. We thought maybe one stage De Gea might need the opportunity to go out on loan, but he didn't. Sir Alex stuck with him, and then obviously we won season after season. He was United's best player, which shouldn't be the case as a goalkeeper, but he was. I will Senne Lammens, follow suit on this? I'm not entirely sure. Will he come in and replace Onana? For me, I hope he does. Whether that is what actually takes place, I don't know. Or will he place Bayinda? Who will play tomorrow is a fascinating question. Will it be Bayinda or will it be Onana? Personally, I'd probably go with Bayinda. And then it also means if Senne Lammens does come in, then he won't have the pressure of having to push Andrea Onana out. And maybe Onana will take the opportunity to maybe move on himself, because if he realizes he's a second goalkeeper, then maybe he will, want to go away and prove himself. Again, it's a World Cup year and players want to play. So maybe that'll change things very, very quickly. But as I said, this kid's young. Well, he's 23, 22, 23 now, so youngish for a goalkeeper. He will have a mistake in him, unfortunately, and that's just the nature of the beast, because he's so young. He's still got a lot to learn, so that's something that we'll have to contend with should he come in and take his position. But I think it's one that we definitely are looking at, and one that would definitely help improve us at this particular stage of the league season, even though it's only just started. So that's what the news where we are with that. Now, Antony is an interesting one because he's still here. He won't leave. And apparently Real Betis are still working on a deal for Antony from Manchester United. Talks are ongoing to agree terms and to try and green light on a structure. Now, Antony has Besiktas have also come in from the Turkish league. They're keen to match the fee that we're looking around 48 million euro they've offered. Antony still doesn't want to go there. I just wish we could find a way to make this work. Antony's really got to get out of the club. We need to get the wages off. We need to get him sold. We need to get players like him, like Garnacho. We need to get them moved on so we can do other deals, like bring in a goalkeeper, like potentially bring in a midfielder, which even though we bring the goalkeeper in, we're still desperate for a midfielder as well. It's two sides of the same coin. We need both before the season starts, or season starts, or before the transfer window closes. So that's the information we have on Antony. We know that Real Betis are somehow trying to scramble together to get the money together. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know if they're going to sell players. Clock's ticking. We're nearly out of time. Antony will want to play. It's a World Cup year. He is on the fringes of that Brazil squad. He needs to get in and he needs to play football. I don't know why he's holding out for Betis. There are other clubs in for him. And maybe he'll get desperate at the end and he'll roll the dice and we will still get the opportunity to sell him. But I hope that is the case sooner rather than later, because we don't want him or Garnacho or Sancho still in the books come the end. Now, this was another story that was breaking, and this is from a Greek journalist, and they were saying that Bruno Fernandes is being targeted by Al Ittihad. A meeting with his camp already taking place, and the first contact was reportedly positive. Bruno was open to a move. Now, I don't buy this or believe this for a split second. Bruno has already kind of nailed his colours to the mast this season anyway. Whether he moves next season or not, that's a completely different story. But I'd be very shocked if Bruno has already contemplated one offer from the Saudi Pro League. Will he contemplate another offer from this? It sounds like maybe, but I'm not sure there's any truth in this at this particular given moment. I think that Bruno will stay for the season, even though I think he should move on. I would potentially take the money and rebuild the team. As dangerous and as risky as that may sound, I think that Bruno, it would have been good to have got that money in from Bruno when they were offered between 80 and 100 million earlier in the transfer window. Is he going to do this now? I don't think so. I don't think Bruno's going to move on anywhere. But that was a story that was coming out, that was breaking earlier today. Now, there was also reports as well, which are interesting, that Etihad are also exploring a deal for Manchester United's midfielder Casemiro. Now, we all know that Casemiro doesn't want to leave. He's done several interviews recently saying he's happy with the club, he's happy with his life, he loves the way he's been supported at the club. I just can't see Casemiro actually taking a hit and going to the Saudi Pro League anytime soon. Maybe next year he might go, and maybe we'll get a bit of money from them, but I just don't think a move's on the cards this season. I think he and Bruno are both going to stick around, and is that the best thing for us? Experience-wise, to a certain degree, maybe. Do they have the legs to play in the midfield that we need? I don't think so. Both brilliant players in their own rights, both served us well in some ways. Casemiro, first season, brilliant. Second season wasn't as good. Third season, we'll have to wait and see. Bruno's obviously done it season after season. But yeah, we're at a time and a place where we need different players. We need different ideas. We need different styles of players in that centre sort of midfield position. It'd be great if these two players did decide to move on, but I don't have a feeling that they're probably not going to. And now there was only a couple of other little bits of information that were coming out, and this is what Ruben Amorim had to say about Sesko. I must be cautious because Benjamin Sesko will be our striker for many years. We need to instill this in his mind and let him adapt, stay calm and enjoy. He is truly obsessed. He's obsessed with playing. He's obsessed with scoring goals. That's all the kid wants to do. But from what is being said now, I'm wondering whether this gives us an indication if he's going to be playing against Fulham on the weekend tomorrow. He may not. He may go with Mount again in that false nine position, or Bruno in the false nine and drop Mount deeper. And Šeško might not be quite ready yet. Maybe he's going to hold him back for another game. Ten Hag used to do this. Used to drive me mad. Maybe Ruben Amorim's going to do the same thing. I'd prefer to see that focal point. I think that'd be really, really important to us. And it would be really useful if we could get him up and running, up to speed very, very quickly. And this is what Ruben Amorim had to say about the league season. He said, I think everyone knows we have a goal, not for this season, but within 3 years to win the title. We will follow these steps to achieve the goal. But in the club, you know that everything week, the narrative will be different. So we must be prepared for it. Ignore the outside noise and just try and win matches. So that's what Ruben Amorim is actually saying at the minute. He knows what the long-term vision is. Well, it's a kind of not that long-term vision. You know, title needs to be, somehow gathered in the next couple of years. Can I see that happening? Not entirely sure. I'd love it to be the case, but realist more than anything in me says not probably going to happen within the next couple of seasons. Too much ground to make up. But Ruben's confident and he's getting his message out there, and he's telling us, maybe he's trying to inject a little bit of fear into the other teams, saying maybe the breaking beast and the giant that is Manchester United will hopefully flourish and rise from the ashes and take us back to the promised land. But yeah, I've got a funny feeling it might take a little bit longer than this, than Ruben Amorim's kind of holding out for. But that's where we are with all the latest news today. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're enjoying the content, thank you very much for sticking to the end. Thumbs up would be massive. A like would be great. And also, if you would subscribe, that would massively help the channel out. Thank you very much for everyone who's done so. Get your comments in below on anything that I've talked about, and I shall see you on the next one.